Hello, my name is Victor, and I cannot believe we are at the end of 2025 already. But in today's video, I want to discuss the final SoFi put that I sold, how that went, and I have some exciting news because I have a brand new position that I started in my portfolio. Also, be sure to stick around until the end of the video because I'm going to reflect on 2025 as a whole because it was quite an interesting year. But without further ado, let's get right into it. And let's get this party started with an update on the final put that I sold on SoFi. And hat trick hero here, 3 for 3. I was able to get out of this position and gain the premium without getting assigned. My total premium on this put sold was $39, which was about a 1.6 return on investment for my portfolio. And that wrapped up a whole quarter of selling puts on SoFi stock. To be honest with you, there were times there where it looked very shaky, and then there were other times where I was actually hoping to get assigned because SoFi is a stock that I would not mind holding. All in all, throughout the quarter, I was able to gain over $100 of premium just by selling puts on SoFi. And my total compound return on investment was 4.6% over those 3 months. So not too shabby if I do say so myself. I would absolutely consider this a success when it comes to option selling. And I love selling puts because as you have seen here with my portfolio, the more premiums that you get, the more capital that you have to use to potentially either A, get into bigger puts sold, which will give you bigger premiums, or you can always just keep the cash on hand and use it for whatever you want. Maybe you just want to build up your cash in your portfolio, or you have a plan with the cash in mind already, like I did, because I wanted to build up a little bit more cash because I wanted to start a new position in my portfolio. And that new position is PayPal. PayPal is the new position that I have started here in my portfolio. I did all of the research, I did all of my analysis and provided all of my numbers in a previous video. So I'm not going to get into that here. If you want to check out that video, I will have it tagged up here. I highly recommend you go watch that video if you have not yet because I go into a deep dive of PE ratios. I did a deep dive of all 3 of the financial documents that everybody, in my opinion, should read through before starting a position. My average price currently is about $61 per share, and I know that PayPal is currently under that price point. And I, for one, hope that it stays that way for at least the next 3 to 6 months. Because whenever I'm building up a position in my portfolio, I do not want the stock price to shoot up over the next couple of weeks. Because, of course, I want to buy the stock as cheap as possible whenever I'm building up my position. If the position doesn't get to at least 3% of my portfolio, it is too small for me to care about. And at that point, I'll just get out of the position entirely with some quick short-term gains in the process. But really, my goal would be for PayPal to be 3 to 5% of my entire portfolio. For those of you who watched my previous video on Netflix, you'll know that I'm not as bullish as I was on Netflix, but still 3 to 5% in my portfolio is a decent size. And the biggest reason that I got into PayPal, besides all of the PE ratios and everything looking really good, I just see it as one of the best stocks for dividend growth currently, in my opinion. They just started paying out a dividend. With their new CEO who is focused on earnings, I absolutely see them growing that dividend over the next several years into the future. Now, I don't overly prioritize dividends in my portfolio. I know that there are some people who only buy stocks that pay dividends, and that's perfectly fine for them. But for me, I'm in my early 30s. I'm not looking to use dividend income to pay my bills anytime soon. But I am looking for dividend stocks that are going to be able to grow that dividend over the next several decades so that whenever I'm in my hopefully late 40s, maybe early 50s, I have that option to potentially use dividends to pay my bills if I really want to. But currently, I'm just focused on dividend growth, and I think PayPal is going to be a stock that is going to help me in obtaining that goal. 2025 was quite the interesting year because the first half was complete chaos. All of the tariffs, that's all I heard about on the news. People were still worried about inflation, and that sent the stock market tumbling. When I had a look at VOO, which tracks the S&P 500, you can see where all of the panic starts to creep into the stock market. Because yeah, when I have a look at this chart, right around late April, maybe early May, is when you see the bottom of the stock market in 2025. But ever since then, it seems like everything has been up and to the right, and it looks like we have been pretty much set for a Santa Claus rally through the end of the year. VOO is up 18% year to date, which is absolutely amazing for the stock market. For those of you who are new, the S&P 500 tends to average about 7 to 10% per year. So 18% is incredibly strong, and 2025 has just been one of those weird years where if you got in at the start and you did not know what you were doing, you could potentially have gotten shaken out because yeah, there was a lot going on. But for those of us, like myself, potentially like you as well, who were able to hang on, we are able to control our emotions and look into the future. I'm talking 3 to 5 years into the future, we knew that this was just a blip in the radar. There's always going to be something every single year that sends people in a panic and everybody wants to sell all of their amazing stocks. That is when we as value investors are able to step in and get these stocks at amazing prices. And honestly, that's what I'm looking to continue doing here through 2026. So whenever anybody asks me, what is your plan for the next year? The plan is to stick to the plan. My goal every single year is that I hope that the stock market gives me buying opportunities. If the stock market were to just continue to go up and to the right every single year, you would never get a chance to buy stocks at a great discount. And that is what I personally love doing as an investor. My strategy for the first, potentially second quarter of 2026 is to focus on growth and dividend stocks. And specifically, it's growing 2 positions in my portfolio that I just started: Netflix and PayPal, as we just discussed. On top of being a value investor and also focusing on growth and dividend stocks, I also use about 5% of my portfolio for options trading. Whether it be leaps or selling put options, I always like to have about 5% of my portfolio dedicated to options trading. So if any of that is something that interests you, whether it be value investing, learning about growth and dividend stocks, or seeing what I specifically do when it comes to options trading, I highly recommend that you subscribe so that you see my journey through the next year in 2026. For those of you who have made it this far into the video, thank you so much. And to anybody who has supported me in 2025, I started making YouTube videos again here in July of this year. So it has been so much fun. I love tracking the stock market and giving my opinions, showing you what I'm doing with my personal portfolio. So if that is something you have enjoyed, thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me. I hope everybody has a great end of 2025, and I am hoping and wishing for wealth and prosperity to you in 2026. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.